Hey, speaking of pigskin, Donald Trump, in his ongoing effort to distract us from the fact that he doesn't want Melania to see the Epstein files, went after Rosie O'Donnell again. He's been threatening to revoke Rosie O'Donnell's American citizenship, which, like peeing standing up, he cannot do.
I love that because Trump is always
a president that actually, had the worst tribulations our country has ever faced and brought us together. Now, the opposite is happening right now. We have a president who started out when the country was together and had a wonderful leader, and he is tearing us limb from limb, destroying every institution.
The spectacle of Donald Trump's presidency practically begs for comedy. When Jimmy Kimmel and Jim Carrey aim, it becomes less of a roast and more of a demolition derby of ego, incompetence, and absurdity. Imagine a man who insists he's writing history only to produce something that looks more like bloopers footage spliced together by accident. The nation didn't get a commander. It got a parody actor who doesn't even know he's auditioning for a role no one wanted him in.
He did his best to cancel me. Instead, he forced millions of people to watch the show. That backfired bigly. He might have to release the Epstein files to distract us from this now.
With modern times, he criticized capitalism without a conscience. And that's what we have now. We have capitalism without a conscience. He showed the common man being fed through gears of the brutal, dehumanizing industrial age. He took on the American right wing of his day, its worst evils: hatred of immigrants, contempt for the truth, greed, and the abuse of power.
If you're enjoying this video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon. Kimmel immediately rips into the image Trump tries to project, dismantling it like a magician revealing every cheap trick. He paints him as a man who believes shouting louder makes him smarter, as if volume were an academic credential. The Oval Office, once symbolic of dignity, has been downgraded into a comedy club where the headliner bombs every night, but somehow demands an encore. Kimmel skewers this transformation by turning Trump's self-promotion into the joke itself, because when the leader of the free world treats governance like a talent show, the punchline writes itself.
And before I share this, I'd like to remind you, this is a post from the President of the United States. He wrote, "As previously mentioned, we are giving serious thought to taking away Rosie's citizenship. She is not a great American and is, in my opinion, incapable of being so." Here's the thing, whenever he's spitting out, he goes back to Rosie. That's his safe space. He zeroes out.
Carrey brings his signature surreal chaos, exaggerating Trump into a cartoon so grotesque it feels uncomfortably accurate. He sketches the president as a living caricature of excess, a character who wouldn't make it past the first draft of a comedy screenplay because no producer would believe someone could actually exist that ridiculous. Yet here he is, steering the country like a man convinced his golf cart can win the Indy 500. Carrey's genius lies in amplifying Trump's flaws until they resemble a funhouse mirror that somehow still manages to reflect reality.
He's a car salesman. He's a used car salesman.
Absolutely.
And he's, he didn't make America great again, but he did turn back the odometer. So who knows what the hell is wrong with us?
But as I watch
Unfortunately, we're in the back seat, right?
Right.
We're not in control.
As I watched this week, what I kept thinking was, it all comes down to this case of narcissistic personality disorder. We've all talked about it since he's been on the public scene.
Kimmel drives the roast deeper by mocking Trump's obsession with spectacle. Instead of solving crises, he stages them. Instead of addressing problems, he recasts them as plot twists. The United States under his watch resembles less a democracy and more a never-ending reality series, complete with cliffhangers and plot holes so massive they could swallow entire budgets. Kimmel cracks open the absurdity of this leadership style, where a president prioritizes airtime over answers, leaving the audience laughing and cringing in equal measure.
Calling her fat is what makes him comfortable. Meanwhile, she's about half his weight now. In fact, this photo he posted... She posted the photo. This photo he posted looks really more like him than her. It's Rosie O'Donnell. How can someone so old be so childish? It's Benjamin can't button his pants.
Carrey twists that image into performance art, likening Trump's leadership to a circus ringmaster who can't control the animals but still demands applause for the chaos. The elephants are stampeding. The lions are eating the clowns, but he's waving his arms like this was the plan all along. Carrey delivers the irony with manic flair, a presidency so unstable it feels like an improvisation gone wrong, yet somehow everyone else is trapped inside the skit with no chance to leave the stage.
But we see it in real time. Somebody really unraveling, spiraling toward madness.
So I'm an asshole? Is that what you're trying to say?
No. We're talking
Oh, you're not talking. You're talking.
There was a tape of him talking to Bob Woodward, right? We heard that this week. At the end of it, he gets a little frustrated and he says, well, accurate is that nobody's ever done a better job than I'm doing as president. He says, how can you...
Job of what? Job of what? Demolition Man?
Right.
Kimmel hammers at Trump's relationship with truth, mocking the way reality bends in his presence. Facts aren't guardrails, they're inconveniences. Kimmel envisions him as a kid who scribbles over his report card and insists he got straight A's, then scolds anyone who dares point out the smudges. Governance under Trump becomes a parody of accountability, where mistakes vanish not because they're fixed, but because he declares them achievements. The laugh comes not just from the audacity, but from how many people nod along as if the smudges weren't glaring. Carrey, never one to shy away from exaggeration, pushes this idea further, imagining Trump's presidency as a surreal museum exhibit. There's a gold-plated room of excuses, a wing of unfinished projects guarded by cardboard cutouts, and a mirror hall where every reflection says genius, no matter how distorted. Kimmel compares it to a child stomping in a sandbox, convinced he's building an empire when he's just ruining everyone else's day. The comedy lands because the image is too accurate, a leader trying so hard to look powerful that he exposes his fragility with every move.
They kicked the can in the hopes that, I don't know, we'd be hit by a tidal wave or something, it would wash away, but it didn't wash away. So they tried another dumb idea. Again, this time the House Oversight Committee released some of the Epstein files, around 33,000 pages of the Epstein files, the vast majority of which had already been released. You would think that of all the cases, the one for Jeffrey Epstein would get a full release, but no.
Carrey unleashes his trademark wildness to frame Trump as a performance gone off the rails. Picture a stand-up comic bombing so badly he starts insulting the audience, only to demand a standing ovation afterward. That's the Trump presidency distilled into a single act. Flops reframed as triumphs, chaos rebranded as strategy, and silence treated as betrayal. Carrey thrives in this surreal exaggeration, pulling back the curtain to reveal the absurd machinery keeping the act going. Kimmel takes aim at Trump's handling of crises, highlighting the way he treats disasters as personal PR challenges rather than national emergencies. A pandemic, for example, became less about saving lives and more about protecting his image, turning daily briefings into press junkets. Kimmel slices into this absurdity by mocking the idea that leadership is about dodging blame rather than delivering solutions. Carrey's ability to blend absurdity with sharp critique ensures the roast cuts deep, exposing how deadly incompetence becomes when wrapped in ego and denial.
We are fighting those same evils today. In America, in the United Kingdom, across the globe. And we need to be clear, shamelessness is not and will never be a superpower. It is the mark of a villain. Kidnapping children is not what great nations do. Almost half of America at this moment believes there is a sinister deep state diabolically plotting to what? Give them health care?
Kimmel also zeroes in on Trump's obsession with crowd sizes, ratings, and applause, mocking the way he treats politics as a popularity contest. He imagines Trump sitting in the Oval Office like a desperate game show contestant, checking the scoreboard, convinced that approval numbers are trophies. The absurdity is staggering. The leader of the free world reduced to a man refreshing his own mentions, desperate to be liked. Kimmel's ridicule lands because it highlights how small-minded the obsession really is. Carrey spins this obsession into a scene straight out of slapstick. Trump is a performer who insists on bowing after every line, waiting for cheers that never come. He imagines the Oval Office equipped with a laugh track just to fill the silence. Carrey's surrealism transforms insecurity into comedy gold, turning the hunger for validation into an endless pratfall of desperation. Their combined assault dismantles not just the man, but the myth, leaving behind only the ruins of an ego-driven performance.
Now, there was some new information in the documents. Contrary to what Trump's Attorney General Pam Bondi said, there was video of that missing minute of security footage shot outside Epstein's cell. That footage somehow this footage got re-edited more times than the Zack Snyder Justice League cut. And it's a big problem for Trump because the push to release the names isn't just coming from the left. This is a bipartisan effort. It's coming from inside the House.
Kimmel continues by underlining how Trump redefined politics around his own personality cult. Institutions, laws, and traditions were bent or broken to accommodate his theatrics. Kimmel mocks the absurdity of a president who behaves like a reality show contestant convinced the rules don't apply to him. The laughter is sharp because it underscores the tragedy. A system designed to protect democracy reduced to background scenery in his never-ending act. Carrey, pushing the exaggeration even further, imagines Trump as a cartoon villain who accidentally wanders into office and decides to stay because the chairs are comfortable. Instead of being remembered as a transformative figure, he's destined to be studied as a cautionary tale, a blooper reel of governance that future generations will laugh at in disbelief. Kimmel wraps it in biting humor, ensuring the ridicule sticks like glue.
Paying Trump as an artist. This isn't exactly a Norman Rockwell. No one is hanging this in a museum. Their other proof he didn't do it is the signature. They say it doesn't look like his signature. It sure does to me. Especially when you compare it to other Trump signatures from that era. They're almost exactly the same. They all end with a long D, which I can only assume is Trump overcompensating for a small D.
Carrey closes the roast with surreal brilliance, imagining a future where museums dedicate entire wings to Trump's absurdities. Animatronic tantrums, Twitter archives displayed like ancient scrolls, and wax figures that collapse when you look at them too closely. It's grotesque, it's hilarious, and it's tragically accurate. His destruction of Trump's myth doesn't just mock, it immortalizes the absurdity. Carrey's vision of these grotesque halls of history is a reminder that Trump has managed to brand chaos as culture. Each exhibit would serve as a warning label for ambition without substance, power without principle. He doesn't just mock Trump as a president. He strips away every illusion of gravitas and shows him as a man so desperate for recognition that he'd rather be infamous than forgotten. Kimmel's roast turns the Oval Office into a stage where the act never ends, even when the curtain should have fallen long ago.
Here's the other thing. This book is 22 years old. Who would have been faking Donald Trump's signature in a private birthday book in January of 2003? The Apprentice wasn't even on the air yet. This would require an extraordinary amount of planning. Caroline Leavitt, his press secretary, the woman who keeps insisting Trump didn't draw this or sign this in 2003, she was 5 years old. She was too young even for Jeffrey Epstein in 2003.
The two of them, one wielding satire and the other wielding surrealism, dismantle every shred of Trump's carefully constructed mythology. Kimmel's gallery of absurdities forces the audience to see his presidency not as a period of governance, but as a performance piece nobody asked for. Carrey makes sure the laughter cuts deeper by exposing how ridiculous it looks when someone confuses shouting for strength and publicity for leadership. The impact of their demolition is inescapable. They don't just poke holes in Trump's legacy, they rip it apart thread by thread until nothing recognizable is left. The man who wanted to be remembered as towering now looks microscopic, swallowed by his own insecurities and overblown theatrics. Carrey's surreal take makes the absurdity immortal. What was once pitched as greatness is reframed as a blooper reel, playing on repeat in the collective consciousness.
Poland had the misfortune to visit in the middle of Hurricane Epstein. As you probably know, Republicans forced an early recess over the summer to avoid having to vote on whether to release the Epstein files, which many of them do not want to do because it would upset Orange Julius Caesar bigly. So
it becomes clear that Trump's myth doesn't survive satire because satire doesn't exaggerate. It simply holds up a mirror. Kimmel's jokes and Carrey's surreal visions reflect exactly what Trump has built: a caricature of power, a parody of governance, and a mockery of responsibility. Their roast ensures this legacy doesn't just fade quietly, It's permanently preserved as an absurdity too large to ignore. Together, Kimmel and Carrey deliver a demolition so thorough that nothing remains intact. The myth of strength, the illusion of competence, the aura of greatness, all torn down with ridicule sharp enough to sting and wit bold enough to last. His presidency is less a chapter in American history than a comedy skit accidentally extended for years. The real tragedy isn't that he tried, it's that the country had to sit through the show. And when the curtain finally drops, the only applause will be for the comedians who made the pain bearable by turning it into laughter.